And the next talk is going to be about, again, the automation journey and the people and process aspect of it. And the next speaker here is Fredrik Swahn, a guy who has a party trick or two up his sleeve. So there's an icebreaker for you if you want to talk to him on the boat tomorrow or something.
Yep. Yeah. Thanks for that. Expectations high.
Network automation delivery model. The stage is yours.
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. My name is Fredrik Swahn. I'm leading the engineering teams for NSO and workflow. And today I'm not going to talk about that. This is me back in 2019 launching the NADM, the Network Automation Delivery Model. How many have heard about NADM before? Raise your hand now. Okay, good. There's very few. So a lot of things have happened since 2019. I won't go into the world things that happened. On the technology side, we have done a lot of improvements on NSO. We have launched CVM, so big things on that side. There's a couple of things that hasn't changed. My outfit. It's exactly the same shirt, the same jeans. I'm a very sustainable person. My haircut is the same. Another piece that hasn't changed is NADM. So I will show you old news today, because it's still relevant. And the reason why I'm going to show you NADM, like why did we develop this piece of information, is content. It's on a web page. I will demo, but a demo is not pre-recorded or anything, but it's just a web page. So I think we'll manage that. The reason why we developed NADM to start with was that we got a lot of questions from various customers asking, can you show us sort of the best practices, or can you at least share your opinions, or what do you think we should do in order to implement, in this case, NSO in the best possible ways? What does other customers, or what do other customers do in order to succeed? We hear a lot of presentations that they've done great things with NSO. What have they done in terms of getting it into production? So the reason why we created is basically to meet that demand, because we understand that if we can sort of provide you guys with more guidelines or best practices, we increase the chances for you to succeed. And that's good for us as well. We want you to succeed with our technology. We would like to share what we know. We don't want to stick with good things, stick it to ourselves. So we want to share it. That's basically why we created NADM. So I'm going to show you it today, but also going to touch upon two sort of main problems that I get regularly. And those problems are, it takes forever to get any ROI out of this. An ROI, return on investment, and this, the automation technology. So I get that many times. So we invested heavily in NSO, but it takes time to get the return from it. The second question or problem statement is usually internal resistance is hindering us to expand. So what does that mean? Is really we bought NSO and we deployed a few use cases, but we can't get it to expand, or we didn't even get to the deployment phase. So I'm going to touch upon those. So I'm going to start with the first one. So to get any ROI out of the technology, we need to deploy it. I guess we can agree upon that statement, right? And what our most successful customers has done is they get an early win. They get a small and minimum viable use case into production quickly. That's one learning we have gained over the years, and this is applicable to every customer, really. What the least successful customers do is that they take a big use case with a lot of value, and they build this big machinery, big organization, and it takes forever to get it into production, meaning they won't get any return on the investment. It has proven to be very successful to get the very, like an MVP use case. And not just because of getting technology in, it also reflects on the team's capabilities. So then you actually create a team that can prove that it works. And that's how we started to create NADM. So NADM really helps. It's designed to get that early win from start. So it's really straightforward. We have a getting started phase, and then we have 3 steps. Basically, define step, the demonstrate step, and the deploy step. And what it means is that we say that if you're new, if you just bought NSO or any other automation technology, form an automation core team consisting of both software and network competence. Let them define the scope. Then you demonstrate how this should work, and make sure that your stakeholders, and this is key, make sure your stakeholders see it. And then focusing on deploy this MVP use case to start with. If you do this, we have seen that you build this positive momentum in the organization. The people that sort of, you can't automate, you're not capable of doing that, you show them that it actually works. You show that the technology works, and you show that you're a capable team, and you've built this positive momentum. And the next thing then is that you take on your next use case. Because you can all agree also that the return will be very small if you just do MVP use cases. So NADM is basically designed and prepare you to, NADM is designed to prepare and equip you to get that critical early win. And what we have done next, as a next phase, is basically to state that, okay, take what you learned and build an automation practice out of these learnings. And then we say that in the expand step, take what you learned and expand it in a structured way. Then you operationalize it, so establish new processes and ways of working. And the 6th or 3rd step in the build automation practice phase, run, is basically integrate network automation into the organization. This is when you think automation from start. So changing the entire organization, like you have the automation in your DNA, basically. And if we put those phases together, you have the model. It's very simple, but it's full of content. So I'm gonna show you what it looks like and see if the technology is with me. If we can get the, there it is. I'm gonna be very pedagogic here. My mom is a teacher. So you go into Cisco DevNet, just type in NADM, it usually shows up here. Not connected, but I am. There it is. So here it is, what I showed you just. Let's go into the phases and steps. And let's go on define. So we try to make this very, very hands-on. So choose a well-defined and straightforward use case that is assessed to be easy to demo and deploy. So we sort of share the best practices. And also we built NADM based on our most successful customers, what they have told us when we observed them, and also the opinions from the team. And we also provided a checklist for each step, so you can tick those If you continue to demonstrate, set of best practices, and this is now define, demonstrate, and deploy the use case. If you look on expand, now we're getting to things like get a person appointed with a clear ownership for driving, have the right mandate to drive the automation practice. It might sound very simple, but we have seen that this is not that common. So I think in the future we'll probably have a chief automation director, someone who's taking care of the holistic view of the automation in organizations. So that's just a quick view of what it looks like, and you can easily find this by searching on Cisco DevNet, and then you have the steps here. So let me go back to the presentation again. And touch upon the second problem statement. Internal resistance is hindering us to expand. I think many of you have experienced this in other organizational changes. When we try to change something in organizations, there's always resistance. So how do we avoid this? How can we work on not getting the resistance? Because we all know that implementing or introducing automation meets a lot of resistance. And what I've seen when I talk to customers, and what I also can see in my own organization, let's take the automation example. If there's a weak cause for automation, that will lead to isolated support. What that will lead to is siloed priorities, which leads to interest conflicts. Less collaboration or no collaboration, and the result is we're focusing on defending. Most common part, no, you can't automate what we're doing because it's so important. It's not like we work together on finding the way to automate the manual steps. Or you have to automate exactly the manual steps we do today. So it's more a focus on defending what you're doing today than actually realizing or working together towards this new common goal. What we want to end up in, it's basically this chain of positive events leading to a successful implementation. Then we have a clear cause for automation. We have cross-management support, so we have leaders that agree that this is a focus that we should prioritize. We have joint priorities. We have a shared commitment to actually work on it and succeed, which leads to collaboration. We're breaking the silos, and we're focusing on succeeding. Might sound simple, but it's hard in real life. So what I would suggest someone to do, in this case, to get this chain of positive events, is understand your stakeholders, understand how committed they are, and how committed you want them, or you need them to be, and then you go and act on it. And I'm going to show you a very simple way to do this. And I use this model myself when I try to implement changes in my own group. So yeah, everyone in my group, now you know the secret. You have the automation team, which you're part of, and you're gonna identify who are your stakeholders. Might be IT operations, might be support, executive management is of course one of them. Marketing might be there, business product owners, network operations is definitely one of them. And then you use this simple theory of the commitment curve. Have you heard about the commitment curve before? Raise your hand. Okay, a few. So it's basically you plot the stakeholders on the commitment curve to understand where do you want them to be in terms of commitment. Let's start with the first one, marketing. You probably just need them. They probably need to be aware that you're doing this automation in the networks. Might be something good for your brand or to market about. Support, they probably need also be aware, not really understanding, but they need to be aware if they should act on it. IT operations, can't leave them with just being aware. They probably need to understand what you're doing. Network operations, I wouldn't say it's sufficient for them to just understand. They probably need to accept that we're doing a change here. Executive management, they need to be fully committed. Because if we don't have a full commitment from the executive management, I think if you look back to the sort of the critical or the negative chain of events, you will end up with these siloed priorities. And I've been in so many conversations where you don't have that buy-in from sponsors, where you have one dedicated sponsor, and you have this automation core team of 6 people, and you go down in the basement, and you start programming your very cool automation, and then you come up from the basement after 2 years and say, this is how we're going to automate everything. But you don't have that buy-in. So it's really important that you understand how committed your peers, your stakeholders are. So take a look at NADM again. So we have a bunch of topics here, because it's not about, when you introduce network automation, it's not about just a chronological order and that we can sort of squeeze into different phases. So we have also identified a bunch of topics that we think are very relevant for your journey. Might be roles. What kind of roles do you need to have in an automation practice? Vision, mission, culture statement. You have a clear vision where you're heading. The mission is really why do you exist? Culture statement from how you're supposed to work. Objectives, your strategy and plan. KPIs. You touched upon that this morning, Luis and Jill. Development process. How do you build an effective organization? Stakeholder management I just covered. So there's a bunch of topics that we try to sort of, what do we want you guys to think about in your journey? And it's not only that if you just bought an NSO, I think this could be relevant for you even if you have been working with NSO for 3, 4, 5, 6 years. So let's take a look at the stakeholder management again. And I just show you this plot and the commitment curve. So my point is there's hands-on things in the network automation delivery model that you can actually use. If you take the KPI section, we try to be very specific. What are the types of KPIs you can measure? Why should you measure them? And how do you measure? It would be easier for you to have something to measure to show that you're actually improving. If we take a build an organization, I'm having many conversations where the customer might not have a clear view of what type of organization are you building and what roles are in that organization. So this is how it could look like, not saying that this is the best way for you to structure it. It really depends on how many you are. We have customers that are 4 people in their automation team. We have customers who have plus 100 people in their automation team. Of course, they will differ in terms of the organization. But it could give you some ideas of how you can structure things and what can be important. And going back to the presentation again. I don't understand why that is. Okay. And this is what I had to tell you. It's full of content. It's free to use. Use it. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that, Fredrik. No questions on Slido. So
like
I
on a
have
boat.
Have you actually heard from customers who use NADM in, getting started with automation? Have they come back to you and said, what the results were, or has it been like,
funny thing,
we're advertising these things and then it's quiet and the usual thing?
Funny thing, LGI. I was at LGI presenting back in 2019, and I guess you were presenting now, right?
Yeah,
Before.
that was Vasco, right before.
And it sounded like you were doing a good job. I didn't recognize you, Vasco, but I was there sharing the ideas of NADM. We've been talking to many customers about NADM, and what the feedback we get is basically it's hands-on. They can take ideas from it directly. It's not that you plot yourself into a maturity model and then you are left alone. So that's the feedback we usually get, I would say.
All right, very good. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the audience? We have mics we can pass out.
And I'll be around, and tomorrow at 10, I'm hosting a sort of managerial session where we address the organizational parts of introducing or maintaining an automation practice. It's really about, we have done this managerial sessions for every developer days. It's mostly for who are building an automation team or part of an automation team, and you have issues with sort of getting it to stick, getting the team to work, getting stakeholders to align. We'll address those sessions. It's a non-recorded session. It will be for 2 hours, and it's more of a workshop. So I'm hosting that tomorrow at 10. So feel free to attend that one. I think it's in the Creative Corner, or yeah, it's on the agenda. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Fredrik. Very good.